That's my
have
goal.
my
That'd be
afternoons.
great.
Where is your Christmas
There you-
dinner?
Yeah.
Gonna be at my mom, or my sister's house over in Finneytown. So we're gonna go over there, eat lunch, or eat like a late lunch, early dinner, and then head south.
You driving?
Yep. Yeah, had to take my dog this time, so.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. We'll call the public hearing and work session for the Lawrenceburg Redevelopment Commission to order. Guess we do a roll call. President Richard Richardson, I am here. Vice President Lenny Fryman.
Here?
Secretary Kevin Schaefer.
Here.
Member Janie Wilson.
Here.
Member Brian Johnson.
Present.
Lawrenceburg School Board Representative Brian Jansen is absent. Director Brian Messmore.
Present.
And City Attorney Del Weldon.
Is present by phone.
Present by phone. Okay, we're going to get him on the line. Excuse me. Give Brian a second to get that handled.
This is Dale.
You're on speaker, you're live, meeting is called to order.
Sounds great.
All right, so Del is present. Okay, so the only thing we have today is to call the meeting to order, and now we want to do our public hearing for the resolution of the City of Lawrenceburg Redevelopment Commission confirming the Business Corridor Economic Development Area and the Economic Development Plan therefore. Are there any public comments that need to be made at this time? This is a meeting as published.
I guess I'm the only one here, so yes, I'd like to make some.
Come on up to the podium for us.
You're not public, you're the guy that makes all this stuff up, so. My name is Bill Harvey. I understand what you're trying to do, economic development, it's great, I understand all that. I do have some struggles with just a couple of the pieces of property that you allocated. For whatever reason, the couple that were picked out were chosen, I'm assuming is because you knew they were coming along. But the one is, and I call it Tri-State Waste, I think that's who they are, they're the old building on 50 that they built behind. That, for all intent and purposes, to me, looks like it's finished. So I don't know why you now would put that into a redevelopment allocation area, other than to get that tax revenue. You're not doing anything for it to remediate any problems that are there that I can see. Now, there are some plots around it that I understand. Those are vacant. They could be developed. I get that. But that piece, and then the other piece, or two pieces actually, are the, I guess they call them the self-storage over by the fairgrounds. I mean, other than a roof being on there, those things are got to be 75% finished. Again, why would you go after that when you're not going to really put any funds in to remediate anything there to develop it? Because I think that's what redevelopment guidelines are for, is to take areas that are blighted and or vacant and redevelop them to make an economic base stronger for the city. Well, those are already done. To me, the school board representative over here, oh, he's not here, that's right. The schools would miss out. The public entities that are listed in this little thing from Reedy Financial, they would also miss out on those funds. I get it that you could probably go back, I think the regs say you can go back to March and pull that, look at that valuation at that time and pull that forward as the base. But reality is those things were finished. That one's finished, in my opinion, I don't know. And the other one's almost finished. I don't understand why we would go after those. That's the only problems I have with any of the things you're presenting.
That's a fair question.
Yeah, I think all this stuff in here makes sense. You know, and I think when I spoke to Brian, you know, going from one end to the other on Highway 50, hey, there's a lot of land there that could be developed, you know, and I agree with that. And increase the economic base. Those two particular places I have a definite struggle with, so.
That's a good question. I'll just make a couple comments.
Yep.
First of all, we did incentivize both of those businesses.
Excuse me for interrupting you. We being the city or we being redevelopment?
One was the city and one was redevelopment.
Okay. To me, those are two separate accounts. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
So go ahead,
that's
sorry.
Fine. So, you know, we have an opportunity to collect our investment in those incentives.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is, you know, it's an economic development area with a zero balance in the bank account at this point in time. So it's an opportunity to capture those revenues and help us reinvest in other businesses that come along down the future. It's not just for that particular site. It's for that economic development area.
I get that. But I think that the tax revenue generated from one particular site that's already finished, you could say that all the way down the whole Highway 50 if you wanted to. Say, look, this is all in the economic development area. I'm going to allocate the AutoZone store.
So what's stopping you from putting a TIF in where Frisch's is, or where?
Well, yeah, I mean, actually,
What you're saying,
one of
basically.
one of the properties is Frisch's old Golden Corral, I think, right? That was Frisch. Remember that Frisch owned that Golden Corral at one point or something? That's one property, but the Frisch's that stands there now, I don't know, why would anybody go after that tax revenue? And that's in essence, in my mind, that's what, no, I understand, but in my mind, that's what you're doing with Tri-State.
Fair enough.
So, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
And we
Right.
had that conversation on the phone.
yeah, we did, I know. But it's got to be heard by the board, not just you, so that's why I'm here, so. Any questions of me before I'm sorry, did Dell have something? I'm sorry.
Oh, I think his phone's just a
Oh, okay, all right.
feedback. Well, no, we appreciate you coming in, and we
Okay.
appreciate the comments. That's what this is for.
Right, I know.
Comments
I sat in your chair in Greendale for 9 years. I know what you're going through. Brian, I've had conversations about me being in Greendale, so I know what you're going through, but my gut's telling me I don't remember ever putting TIF on an existing finished property. So that's my issue, so. And I'm, just so you know, I am here because I am on the library board. We don't get a lot of effect of this by looking at these numbers, which your folks created, I know, which someday I'd like to pick your brain and figure out how you figured that out. But anyway, I get all that, but it's still, I don't think it's right for, especially schools. Well, even Civil City, it looks like they would get a little bit of money back to be able to do some things with too.
Same question
For
I asked
growing.
last meeting, Bill. This is so
Well, I remember being here last week and you raised this question, and I did some digging into it, and I agree. You shouldn't, in my opinion, again, you guys have to make the decision, but in my opinion, you should not be taking funds from the rest of the operations that need the revenue when the business is already finished. Now, granted, Brian, to your point about if you guys did come up with some money for them, somewhere along the line, you got to get that back. I understand all that. I just don't think it should be, maybe it should have been in the agreement you had with them. I don't know.
Can I speak out on this as well?
Sure.
Because I also did, I asked the question last week. One of the things, Bill, I mean, as far as from the school corporation's point of view, and I can still speak for that.
I know, you're still on the school board, so.
Lawrenceburg's always been a good neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Very good neighbor. They've always helped us out, whether it be the redevelopment specifically or the city. As long as that good neighbor relationship still keeps going, I think, and I think it would too. I think if the library, I mean, they got a beautiful facility
Oh,
down
yeah.
there.
Mm-hmm.
I think if there was a real need, I think the city would step up and do some sort of pass-through as well. Maybe not the city, but it might have to come through redevelopment, however they do it. Similar to Greendale for years that didn't participate and they just took all the TIF money, and well, now they got a new administration. They do help us out quite a bit, so when we're good neighbors to each other, I believe it works. It's in the situation where we don't share with each other and help the good, the good neighbor policy. But I also understand Brian's point of view as well as two pots of money. I get it. The city gives some money for an easement over there and some paving or whatever. And then, with Tri-State Liquid Waste, we did give him a $25,000. So, I mean, I see your point of view, and because I see the same thing, and that's why I asked the same question last week. But I also, on the other side of that, we have a good relationship with the city and the school.
Yeah.
And I think that to me eases it a little bit.
Yeah. I know that, I know the city's helped out a lot. I understand all that. I mean, the city of Lawrenceburg helped out when I was on redevelopment in Greendale with some things. So it's, I get all that. I just felt like, well, this needs to be said because it, quote, doesn't fit the normal TIF routine. It's a finished business. So that's me. So any other thing else? All right.
Thank you for your
I'm going to my library board meeting.
All right, I will would you call,
Matt?
Matt,
And just to kind of add some clarity and alleviate, maybe some concerns, I think, and Brian can talk to this as well, the plan, as early as last year, we had talked about adding some of these parcels, especially tri-waste, into a TIF allocation area. At the time, things just hadn't got, the full plan hadn't come to fruition and became clear. So we had always had the intention of adding that parcel into an allocation area. We still needed to get some ducks in a row, which is why the process spilled over to this year. And then once you complete it in this year, as long as you complete it by the end of the year, you get the prior January 1. So January 1 of this year. So that's kind of also what was happening, right? You know, construction's happening on the parcel that we had fully expected to add into the TIF. And then it kind of just spilled over into this year. And then when we're already January of this year, well, at this point, we're going to get January 1 of 22, regardless of if we do it in January or December. So it kind of gave us a little bit more of a runway to kind of firm up some numbers and exactly what our plan was. So that's kind of the reason there. And then two, I would just, great points, collaboration, good neighbor. I can't, echo those more. But also just, I want to reiterate too, those impact numbers and the impact numbers we talked about last week, the impact numbers that are shown in this analysis, those are not dollars that those units are missing out on, right? That's additional circuit breaker that would be reduced because of a lower tax rate. In a hypothetical scenario where all of this assessed value that we're assuming and hoping to receive actually comes to fruition. So a lot goes into it, but I just wanted to let you know that it wasn't just we're trying to, grab something that we're not supposed to.
Just two things. One, I'm not saying it's not legal.
No, yeah. Yep.
I just don't, personally, it didn't feel right.
Okay.
Okay, there's a difference between the two.
Yep.
And I guess the other side from a legal standpoint is you didn't start this thing, even though you wanted to, you didn't start this thing till this year and that building's finished, so. That's my other point. Because you're establishing that area now, tonight, with this hearing.
Correct.
So, and if I read correctly, you can go back to March for the assessed value. You
January
said
1.
January, maybe it's changed
Yep.
since the last thing I read. But it's one of the, like I said, it probably is legal, I just don't think it's right. So, but to Brian's point, I understand.
Yeah.
Back and forth. Like I said, I've been in a chair. I've been in that chair and I've been in one of those chairs. I've done it both. So, I get it. So
Absolutely.
the ideas are great. When Brian told me where you guys were going, all the way, that's great. There's a lot of empty land over there. It could be developed into something to get the, economic boost. So,
Yep.
Anyway, that's all.
Okay.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
If
Happy
there,
holidays too.
Thank you. You too. Be careful driving down to Florida there.
Definitely. Thank you.
if there are no additional comments, I'm going to close the public hearing officially. And if there is no additional comments from the board, I would take a motion to move forward with resolution number 4. Resolution of the City of Lawrenceburg Redevelopment Commission confirming the Business Corridor Economic Development Area and the Economic Development Plan therefore. Do we have a motion to accept resolution number 4?
We'll move.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And that's all we have for today. So if we are good, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn, we have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Can I hang up on you now?
Yes, sir. Merry Christmas, everybody.
All right, Merry Christmas.